I don't need to tell you, this is 27 years of the same formula. It needs to be changed. Foundation Budget Review Commission presented its recommendations to legislators in 2015. And in the fiscal year 19 budget session, the House and Senate were unable to reconcile differences in their two attempts to update the education funding formula. Governor Baker and Senate President Spilker both talked about the need to update this formula. I'm sure Speaker Robert DeLeo will follow as well. I'd like to recognize several state legislators that are here, and they will each have a minute at tonight's event for a brief statement. We're joined by Senator Dean Tran, Representative Stephen Hay, Representative Natalie Higgins, Representative John Zlotnick. We also have many city councilors and school committee members. I hope I don't miss anyone. If I do, put your hand up, please. David Cormier and Rick Marchand from Leominster City Council, and Claire Frieder up in the back. Hi, Claire. Thank you. Ronald Houle from Leominster School Committee. Ronnie and I go way back. We were just talking about that, and it's nothing we can talk about publicly. Right. School committee members in Fitchburg, Jim Walsh, Pete Stevens, Sally Cragen, Jean LaBelle Pierce, Beth Walsh. We have, Beth Walsh used to be a school committee member. She's now a city councilor, and Samantha Squadier, a city councilor at large in Fitchburg. There were, I don't want to miss anyone.
Aiden Horgan. Aiden Horgan is here too.
Aiden Horgan, where's Aiden? Where are you? Oh, there he is, okay. Aiden Horgan, Fitchburg School Committee. I'm going to go back to my statement here. I want to bring the January 5th South Coast Today opinion piece to your attention. I quote, "Our view, elected officials must show leadership on education reform." They wrote, "Governor Baker has made it clear he wants funding increases to be targeted narrowly to urban districts where the cost of special education and English language learning are demonstrably higher than in the suburbs. 2, for a half century now, the tax bases in Massachusetts post-industrial cities, with the exception of Boston, have lagged far behind the suburbs. Their ability to pay for quality public education is inarguably much lower. Yes, all systems need more money for healthcare costs, but the urban system in the end have both the greatest cost and the least ability to pay. And it will in no way benefit the suburbs if their nearby cities continue to decline and become places where working men and women lack the education and skills to compete in the 21st century economy. In my nearly 10 years in the legislature, state government would recognize the importance and need to address our foundation budget and its numerous challenges. Each year we would embark on discussions that began with well-intended goals and aspirations, only to have them sputter and stall. Now is the time to act and face head-on the importance of not only keeping the Commonwealth as the leader in education, but to continue to provide cities like Fitchburg with the resources necessary to prepare our young people for success in the 21st century. Before I go further, I'd like to invite Mayor Dean Mazzarella to come down and say a few words as well. Mayor Mazzarella.
And I don't have any stories that you can't.
Come on, give me some stories, come on.
Good evening, I'll just be brief, but it's good to see so many people. We're all finally on the same page, right? It takes a while for everybody to get on the same page. And really it brings us together because we get impacted by it. We noticed and realized the results of the foundation budget and the negative part of it about 15 years ago. But we were sort of the lone community out there feeling the effects of it. And it took time, over 15 years for everybody, or most everybody, to now be impacted by this. And if your community is impacted yet, in the next 2 years, you will be. The list goes on and on. They aren't all in this area. But all you have to do is Google it to find out the communities that have had to go out and borrow money so they can balance their budget this year. So they're borrowing into the future of their communities to balance the budget. And everybody knows, I don't have to preach to you, special needs, cost of transportation. If you're doing any capital improvement projects, building new schools, roofs, windows, anything, the cost is just about tripled. And that's not going away. So if your community isn't impacted by this yet, it will be. And that's why it's important for the MTA, community select people, the school committee members, city councilors, mayors across the state. This is our real chance to get together and keep filling up these halls, and the change will be made, I guarantee you. I was here for the foundation budget when it first came out. It was a great thing. All that's happened in the past is it just gets tweaked. It doesn't need to be tweaked, it needs to be fixed. So you took the time to come out, and we just need to keep filling these auditoriums up. I think the public knows, you know, the issue here. The costs aren't going down. And again, as I said, if your community hasn't been impacted, it will be in the next 2 years. So thank you, and a great forum. I'll be here, and you know, just stay with it and keep educating people as to this is a major problem for the state. Thank you.
Thank you. I was just given the list of names of elected officials. Let me go through this for you. I don't want to miss anybody. Ellen Holmes.